Everyone, welcome back to 2 Hours on a Sunday. I'm Brian.
And I'm Nick.
And today we're jumping into the animation juggernaut, Studio Ghibli. And today we got family joining us to help us dive into Spirited Away. Abby, how's it going?
Hi, I'm so good. This is like one of my favorite movies of all time. So I'm like pumped to talk about this.
We had this planned for a couple months, and I knew at some point we were going to talk about it. And I had to contact Abby to say, listen, we're talking about this movie. And you literally grew up day after day watching all these kinds of, all the Studio Ghibli movies, but this one kind of stands out for you.
Well,
so we had to have you on.
There was a year where I watched this movie every single day while falling asleep.
You had 365 days of Spirited Away.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
That's amazing.
And some days there may have been 2 watchings. Like at the cottage specifically, like when we would go away on vacation, I would just be like watching this movie. And actually, Brian's wife and her sister were like constantly super creeped out by it. They're like, why do you like this? This is scary. This is stupid. Don't watch it. And I was like, just wait. You'll like it when you're older.
There was a part yesterday when she came in to see, because I was watching it, and she said, this is the exact part where we looked at Abby at the cottage and said, what are you even watching?
Was it the stink spirit?
No, yeah. I think it was the pig.
It was the bathtub.
Oh,
no, it was the bathtub.
It was the okay, yeah. That's like my favorite part of the movie.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I didn't know you were so into this movie. This is great.
Yeah, no, it was like a major part of my childhood.
Did you do like a research on it? Did you look up stuff? Because I'm assuming if you've watched it this many times, you've probably developed a ton of like questions and you've thought about it before. Like, what's your know-how of this movie?
So I think my like technical knowledge of this movie is like probably not great, but I've thought about this movie so much. Like about like the before, like, the after, like where do things go after the movie? Like I was actually reading a bunch of like fan theories yesterday about like, because at the very end of the movie, like Haku's like, yeah, I'll see you again. And I'm like, but when are they going to see each other again? And like, also, are they brother and sister, or is this like a family, like platonic love, or like, are they like kind of like in love with each other? Like, I don't actually know. I don't fully know.
Fair.
And I don't think anybody does.
No.
But there was like a bunch of like theories about Haku potentially being like her brother who saved her from drowning, who died saving her and became the river spirit. And then there was also a bunch of like them being like, oh, he'll like be in the human world as like a kid and they're going to meet there. And I was like, I don't think that's going to happen.
Right.
So I don't know.
And that's what I love about this movie. There's so many things that we don't really know about it. You kind of just... It's something you accept, right? Because I watched it... The first time I watched it was just a couple years ago. I thought, I'm going to turn it on. I haven't watched these movies. I haven't watched any Studio Ghibli. And I was like, hold the phone here. This is a masterpiece. I don't get it. But I knew that it was something like very, very special to kind of witness and to experience. And I felt like we were really in Chihiro's foot, like her perspective this whole time, because I was left like, what is all of this? I don't get it. And she was very not getting everything, especially at the beginning too, going into the town, seeing the bathhouse, seeing her parents turned into pigs. It was so like, this is so unbelievable, but I'm right there with our main character the whole time. And I was like, I'm just enthralled by this.
I actually think Hayao Miyazaki does a really good job in his movies of like having like a very rich like background world and then not filling in all the blanks.
Yes.
Because he does like a very similar thing in Howl's Moving Castle where there's like this whole like war like subplot happening behind the fact and they don't really talk about it. Like they never actually like really fully get into it. And I think that they do that again in this movie. And I think because we follow Chihiro so closely, we don't necessarily have to like know as much, which I think is fine. Because I think the movie is really about like her. Exactly. And her trying to figure out like basically like how to be less selfish and like become like her own person. And like I think that's like really beautiful. And maybe that's why it spoke to me so much as a 10-year-old girl. Because I was like, oh wow, that could be me.
Yep.
Was this the first Studio Ghibli you saw?
It was not actually. I think my first one was Kiki's Delivery Service. And I think my mom actually randomly like found it and we watched it and like we loved it. She does not like Spirited Away. We actually had that discussion earlier today. She was like, I don't like that one very much. I like but I think I think she's thrown off by like they're like the spirits and like the scary moments. I think she was like, am I seriously letting my 10-year-old daughter watch this? And then she did, because I would have been
it's enriching.
She would have taken it away from me. So
my first experience with this was around, I think, 10 or 11 years old, and I have not revisited that movie since. I was at Jesse's house, and they had it on in the living room, and I don't even know how it came to be, but it was kind of on, and I'd seen certain sections of it, but the bathroom scene in general creeped me out hardcore when I was young, and I could not get over No Face, and I couldn't get over the weirdness of the movie, and it kind of haunted me. So I haven't. This yesterday was the first time I rewatched it since I was 10 years old, and let me tell you, a way different experience.
Way different.
I'd hope so.
And despite me seeing this movie so many times, I want you to know that when I rewatched this movie this weekend, I did cry at the end.
Yes.
It did cry at the end.
So good.
Because it doesn't matter. Because every single time I'm like, oh, they found each other. Everything's going to be okay now.
Mm-hmm.
And also just like so beautiful. Like the end when they're like falling from the sky and like the beautiful music is like swelling and they're both crying because,
Now, obviously, your views have changed from when you were young to now.
Yeah.
In terms of how you watch the movie. I assume when you were young, you watched the dubbed version. Do you watch the sub now?
I still watch the dub version, and I think it's very nostalgic for me to watch the dub version. And the other thing, too, is I think actually Disney has done a really good job with all of the dubs for Studio Ghibli for the most part. And they get such good people that it's like, they've like pretty seamlessly done it, actually. It's like pretty impressive.
Because it's a respectable studio, and they're like, yeah, we have to make sure it leveled up.
Like, they can't mess this up. Like, they can't mess up this movie.
Yeah. I also watch the dub. I'm normally into the sub versions of films from Japanese studios, but this, I was like, let me just watch the dub because this is my first time back. Let me get into it. But I do have an issue.
Tell me.
With the dub. But before I get into it, do you guys know who does the voice of Chihiro?
I don't, but I think it's a famous woman. Maybe. I don't know. Could who's to say? Not me.
Davy Chase is the voice of Chihiro, and Davy Chase is the voice of Lilo.
Are you serious?
So much sense. Whoa.
Oh my god.
Because I was listening, I was like, why do I know this voice?
Yeah.
And then whenever she like did a big moment with her voice when she was like complaining or like telling her parents to stop, I was like, why do I know this? So I googled it and I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. I hear
it now with her very like polite phrases when she got her shoes back from the little soot spirits, and she was like, thank you. That's Lilo to me. Yeah. But that makes so much sense. Okay, who is the voice actor for, I forget her name. It was the
character.
Her like guardian.
The cleaning the lady who took care of her. Lynn, thank you. I want to say Lynn, yeah.
So that I knew immediately.
It's
Meg.
From Hercules. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Susan Egan. What a woman.
Yeah, I know. Amazing. As soon as she spoke, and I was like, I first thought it was what's her name? She's a famous voice actress. She's also a voice in the movie. Tara Strong.
Oh yeah.
But she's the baby. And you can tell based on like the Rugrats background and like the Powerpuff Girls. But Haku is Jason Marsden.
That's really
James Marsden?
Jason.
Who's like Jason
like Goofy movie, like
are they related?
I thought you meant James
Lion King 2. James Marsden, no, not
familial relation.
Sonic and Footloose.
Not related.
But Jason Marsden did Goofy movie.
Goofy movie. He was
Goofy.
No, his son.
Max.
He was Max, and then he was cool. Lion King 2, Simba's Pride.
Was he what's his name? Yes.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And then he was also in like Brotherly Love and stuff like that. Like he was
amazing.
In that kind of stuff. But yeah, he's a great voice actor. But yeah, as soon as I knew immediately, I was like, this dude has it under control. But my issue, and I'll tell you this now because I don't know if you watched either or, but there was a part when her and Haku are together, And then she says, "You're a really good friend," and they separate. And he says, "I'll see you soon." They're like in this little courtyard after he showed her the pig, her parents.
The pig pen, yeah.
And then she looks up and she sees a dragon in the sky, and she says, "Oh, Haku, you're a dragon." And I said, that doesn't seem like that dialogue would go there.
No.
So I rewound it, turned the Japanese on. That line is not there.
Oh.
And they do it multiple times in the dub where they have to implement extra lines for us as an audience, the Western audience, to understand what's going on.
That makes
the bathhouse.
I hated it so much. That's such a spoiler that he gave that away because they do it later when he's being attacked.
Well, I guess the question is like, would people put it would people put it together that he's a dragon? Number one, but the other question is like, if Shihiro doesn't have a moment like, oh, he's a dragon. Like, does she know later on that that's Haku like flying around, or does she just like, oh, there's a dragon being chased by some paper?
She knows later, but that's also a question I want to ask because I watched both the sections with him and the dragon as dubbed in the sub. I rewound it, and there's not one point where she would realize that's actually him. Because the second time when he's being attacked, she just knows. But when she first sees him in the sky, it's just like her looking up and like wondering what it is. But in the dub, they say, oh, Haku is a dragon. For the audience to understand later that that's Haku. And then at the beginning of the movie, when she's about to cross the bridge, he's not talking whatsoever. You don't see his lips move at all, but the dub says, you need to hold your breath as we cross the bridge or else they'll figure out who you are. That whole line. But in the dub, that's not there at all because literally 10 seconds later, he says, just hold your breath. They're like taking away the mystery of what's happening. So I think the dub ruins the mystery in a way, but they're such good voice actors that it doesn't matter, but they're kind of giving you too much information too early.
It's also probably because as Western viewers, we don't have some of those cultural understandings, like crossing a bridge or with like spirits around if you hold your breath. Like, well, I guess we have it. Like remember when we were a kid, when we go past cemeteries? You hold your breath. So like that one, I think translates, and they probably didn't need that.
Because his mouth wasn't moving whatsoever.
No,
I did not even. I have never clocked that. Never.
Yeah.
I spot little stuff like that all the time now.
But the dragon one, that makes sense. I thought that was kind of just like I didn't.
I'm like, I don't think his writing would put that there. So I rewound it and I switched the subtitles and I was like, yes, exactly. I knew that line wasn't actually there. She was just looking up in the sky, because when she sees him later, I wrote it down. She says, "Oh, that's the dragon I saw," and then all of a sudden she calls him Haku. So it doesn't. That part it gets me a little confused because how does she even know? Because there's no point of her like maybe like looking at the dragon in the eye, maybe.
Yeah.
But she does say that's the dragon I saw instead of saying, "Oh, Haku, that's you," or whatever. You know, the dub and the sub are kind of different in that way, but otherwise they're pretty much the same. Because when she goes away after she says, "You're such a good friend," and then she looks in the sky, in the sub she says, "Oh, I promise to work hard," because that's their whole thing is like she would promise him she'll get a job and like continue to work so she can stay around. But
that's a good line.
They're just little tweaks. I think they needed to do that for like the mouth flaps to get them right, but sometimes when they're because they have to match the mouth flaps, and they have to. Even Jason Marsden, he said during the bonus features, he said I had to act towards the other actor to match the animation of the mouth because I couldn't. If I would have done this a little bit differently, but we had to match the timing.
Right. That's a really interesting like complexity I never thought about with dubbing. If it's a good dub, like you actually have to like make sure everything like fits so perfectly, even like the way that you say it, just so that it matches their mouth. Like that's really
Dragon Ball does that a lot. They go a lot of behind the scenes and like the seasons where they talk about like having to match perfectly, even if they have to change or lose one line just to make sure the mouth works.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my only nitpick. I thought I'd bring up in case you guys didn't spot that, because to me, I was like, that shouldn't be there.
Yeah,
mystery. Of this movie,
I had that feeling too.
So
I didn't realize. I didn't even think to turn on the subbed version.
Yeah. And I honestly, I always thought that line was like kind of cool because she's like seeing it and she's like realizing like, oh, whoa, this world is like pretty crazy. Like even like the guy who's like helping me out. Oh, by the way, he's also a dragon.
Yeah.
But how would she put that together? That's the only thing I would.
Well, because he like goes
say
away
we
and then
do.
he like flits off. I don't know.
Right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Abby, did you have this movie like physically
I currently still have it physically.
on a DVD?
I have it on a DVD, but I did have it on VHS as well.
That's so cool. Was it a clamshell or like a
It was
like a paper one?
It was a clamshell.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow. I didn't even know they made that.
Yeah,
Now I gotta look for one.
I truly don't know how that movie came into my possession as a child. Like, I do not know who bought it for me or when we got it, or if I have no idea. It just was in my room, and I was like, I love this movie. It's great.
Wow.
I was just because I've had it for so long that I don't really remember ever not having it. So
that's such good fortune.
I know.
Like I had no idea about this movie probably till 15 years ago.
My anime education as a child, I don't know how, was like excellent.
Yeah.
I was like very in the know. I was like watching Gundam when I was like 10. And Dana and Adria, once again, made fun of me constantly. That's what I'm saying. Like, I remember watching the finale of Gundam Seed in my grandparents' basement like one summer and just bawling, just like crying. Yeah. So I feel like somehow, I don't know how, I think I just like stayed up late enough and like didn't let my mom see what I was watching for enough time that like I could watch Akira Yasha and everything else. And that has led me to
I remember that show.
I have watched all 273 episodes.
And
I do remember when Final Act came out and I was watching it on Crunchyroll as it was coming out, or maybe it wasn't Crunchyroll, it was like a free one online. And I was like, wow, it's finally ending after so many years.
What other anime do you watch?
So I don't watch as much anymore, but I was a big Inuyasha kid, and then I watched most of the Studio Ghibli movies, or at least the Miyazaki ones. Okay. And then actually we're watching one on Netflix right now called Dan which I like. It's actually really good. I'm we're my boyfriend and I are watching it, and we're he doesn't live with me, so I have to wait for him sometimes to watch the show, and I'm just
you're like, I could have done 5 episodes by now.
Watch it. But the nice thing is it is on a weekly basis right now, they're rolling it out. So I actually can't just watch all of it all at once. Yeah. But it's been really good. And I've watched a lot of the classics. I've seen Death Note and Oran and a lot of stuff. So
nice.
So then I just kind of go back to the ones I know often. But it's something I would like to watch more of, but I also just don't watch a ton of stuff anymore. So
I get it.
Side note, Abby.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yay! Okay, yay!
The Digimon movie remaster that just dropped.
Yep.
Another thing we always used to do is every single year at our cottage, the same cottage that I watched Spirited Away at multiple times, sometimes in a day, we would always watch the Digimon movie every single year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you watch the American one?
Yeah, that was the only option we had back then.
I guess you're right.
So it's the one where they have Diaboromon in the beginning, and then the second half is when they're
Kokomon.
Go back. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they redubbed, all the voice actors came back, the ones that are still alive, to redo the 3 movies, because some passed early on, they were older, so they had to fix some of them. So they redid the 3 movies separately, and then they still have the American version that we grew up on. They remastered that as well with
amazing
4K
quality. Well, I know what we're doing over the Christmas break.
Yeah. So it's pretty awesome. But going back to the beginning of Spirited Away, it hit you immediately with the music. And as soon as I sat there, I said, this is the most amazing soundtrack I've heard in a while. And it brought me back Zelda vibes.
Oh, yeah.
Very open world, mystery kind of, open landscape, mythical kind of mystery, that kind of stuff.
It's funny that you said that it's very Zelda-like, because when they were going through the tunnel to get to the other side of it, there's this little piano flourish that is very close. I'm not going to say identical. It's very close to the field theme from Breath of the Wild. When the field theme first starts, I was like, hold on. And I listened to the song. I was like, oh, there it is. Yeah. So I understand very much where Breath of the Wild got a lot of its influence. It's that emptiness it's that openness, kind of new feeling of mystery and kind of gradually being exposed to this world rather than just like smacking you into it.
Mm-hmm. And I think
they use music for mystery, right?
Yeah, and I think they do, like, there's some of the emotional beats that I find like really interesting in the movie. I feel like have like a like the music behind them is like so beautiful. Like thinking about like when they're on the train and it just like seems like a little sadder and like. And then the other one I was just thinking about was when Chihiro's going through the back gate and going down to Kamaji's boiler room for the first time. Mm-hmm. And like they have like the violin, like the as she's like trying to like walk down these stairs. And I realized while I was watching it that theme actually comes up multiple times whenever she's doing something that I think she perceives as like a bit scary. That theme keeps coming up, and I'm like, they just hit it out of the park every time with the music with this production company. Like it's crazy.
When they create leitmotifs like that, it's good for our brains because it just says, hey, like this is what you should feel right now. It's not treating us like we're dumb. It's reinforcing those feelings.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, it comes up a couple times and you're just like, oh yeah, this is her theme of being scared, being startled. I really loved the music in the bathhouse when the stink spirit shows up. It's this very lumbering kind of pokey music because it's how do I put it? It's her first real challenge, right? She's tasked with cleaning this spirit. She has no idea what she's doing. And it's also like really gross. It's like the worst thing that she could probably possibly encounter in this job. And it's like, the music just fits it so well. It's like plucky and it's awkward and it fits both of the characters interacting in this scene. I'm just like, how how many tries did it take to get this song?
Imagine first try.
Exactly.
Every time.
I don't doubt it.
Put the movie on, they just played along and just magic happened.
Like, yeah, we got this.
Did you also notice that her fear kind of disappeared when she was doing her first real challenge? Like, she was so scared up until the point of doing that, and all of a sudden she's like, let me just...
Yes.
I need to do this. That
is such a good thing to think about because I think that happens so much in our lives. Like, I don't know, when you start a new job or you start at a new place, you're nervous, you don't know what to expect, and then boom, something happens, some huge thing that you got to deal with, and you just assume that role and you do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's how I've felt in a lot of circumstances.
Oh, yeah, I like feel like I tell people a lot, like, you just have to do your job sometimes. You just have to like do it.
Just do it.
Because if you don't do it, no one else is going to. So you got to do it.
Yep. That's good job, Brian. That's like, I didn't think of that until you said it, but that is so true.
To pivot slightly, going back to the stink spirit, do either of you have a favorite spirit that you encounter in this movie? Because I certainly do.
Yes.
Can I know who that is?
I don't think so. It's so bad.
Who's your favorite?
So dumb.
Nick, say it now.
I love the radish spirit.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say because I think he's so cute, and he's just like a little. The best part is like the little sounds he makes whenever he walks, like the little like squeaks.
It's little squeaks,
and then he
I think
peeks out
so
the door,
funny.
Like when she's going up to the elevator to Yubaba's
her office
for the first time, and he looks out with her, and he kind of like peeks both sides, and then he just kind of gives her a little bow, and he's like, "Peace."
Because at first I'm like, oh, he's kind of creepy because he just kind of, stands there and his body's in the frame. I'm like, I don't like this guy.
And he's got those creepy hands with like the long fingers.
And he's lettuce under his hat.
But then once you see him again, you're like, oh, he's not menacing. He's not malicious or anything. He's just a patron at the thing, and he's kind of goofy.
Radish. He's just a radish.
I don't know if I have a favorite spirit, but my favorite characters are the mouse and the bird.
Yeah, those are cute.
Oh, yes.
Especially because, like, I think it's very interesting at the end when the baby, like, do we ever learn the baby's name?
I don't think so.
I think it's just
Baby. Yeah.
I feel like he probably has a real name, but we maybe never actually hear it, or at least in the dub. But anyways, he turns back into a baby from his little mouse form. But the Yubaba bird stays as like a little baby bird. Like she never goes back to being like scary granny bird.
Right.
And I wonder if she was like, you know what, maybe this is better.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
I like this.
This is a better look for me.
Okay, that makes me feel better that I'm not alone with.
I literally, when I was like making notes about this, and I was like, "What should I talk about?" And I was like, "The radish spirit." That's what I should talk about because I love him.
It's a brief cameo. He never comes back. We don't see him again.
No. He's in the whole movie. He is one of the.
We just
spirits.
don't see him.
He's He's one of the spirits coming off of the ferry when Shihiro's initially there. He is there when the river spirit flies out because he's one of the people holding the fans, and he's cheering for her when she leaves when she gets the final test right. Like he is like there and in support of her the entire movie, and it is amazing. Cool. I stand the radish spirit.
Yes. Yep. What is everybody's favorite scene and or scenes if you have to choose two?
Animation wise, my favorite scene had to be when she took her signature off the paper.
Oh, isn't it amazing?
When I saw that, that's literally I wrote down signature scene. I was like, this is the coolest thing visually I've seen in an animated movie.
It's so impressive.
For taking her like her soul.
Yeah.
You know?
I
was like, wow, the way they just peeled it off and it was like it still looked like it was ink. I was loving it.
Yeah.
I really like the work montage. Like her first day of work, and she's like, everyone is like zooming around next to her, and she's like so slow and terrible. But like, Lynn's being like very patient with her, obviously. And I don't know what it is about like the anime like slice of life moments. Love them. And anything I'm watching, love them. And it's actually funny when I was rewatching it. It made me realize like they were actually probably gone for like a month, but it actually, because the way that the movie is like laid out for you, it seems like she might only been gone for like 3 days.
Right.
That's not true.
But
no.
Nope. We're going to get to that, but the very end of the movie tells that there's way more time
that's
passed than possible.
But I know more time has passed because of that, because there must have been a lot longer that she was there. But like the way it's actually laid out,
you're
within
like 2 days in the spirit world or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Those are, you're right. I really like those, like you said, the slice of life scenes in anime. They just give you a cool glimpse of the world, time passing, and it's something cozy I don't think we associate with real life. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of that ethereal, introspective, oh, hey, I did all of these things with my time. Mm-hmm. I like that. I think from like a visual cinematic perspective, for me, it was the train scene on the way back.
Say that, yeah.
And
on the water.
So
cool.
It's one of those scenes that I sit and I watch, and nothing else is important. It's so calming to me. There's so much. It's not even like an understanding. It's like a feeling of being at peace. I was like, oh, this
that's
is
what
really
our character's feeling.
Yeah.
She seems like she's in control of the world that she's in now.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Not to mention the artistry of what's going on in the backgrounds.
It's stunning. And I'm like, that's why we have the poster, right? Yeah. I was debating between...
You both have the same poster. Like, that is the same poster, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
He just picked two up at the store.
I did.
So great. That's so
we had the...
And I had it before I even saw the movie.
Brian.
Oh, that's right.
I just thought it was a killer poster.
Oh, boy.
Because I think I FaceTimed you at the poster sale.
I was like, I love that. Let me get a piece of that.
Halt.
I was like, at some point I'll rewatch it, but I love how that looks.
I honestly didn't even know you didn't watch it since you were like 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea. None.
Yeah.
I also love Haku's intro. When we first meet Haku, it's so cool. He's moving quick. He's got powers. Oh my gosh, the soundtrack that's in the background.
Oh, when they're flying after she like takes the breath on the bridge, and they're like flying through all of like the different like parts of the bathhouse. Like it is like it's just so cool.
I don't know how to animate. I couldn't do it to save my life, but the speed and the weight that carries him is so cool.
Yeah.
It's not effortless. I know it's consuming energy for him, but it looks so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. Yeah, I love that scene too. This whole movie is beautiful.
Yubaba's temple is absolutely insane. The amount of background work that goes into her castle, even on the oh my gosh, what are they called?
Behind the scenes.
No, the what's in her temple, like the vases,
like the
painting,
all like the pillows and like the wallpaper, like everything is like super intricate. Like it is like the definition of maximalism.
And there was it was a 2-second scene of her flying through all the doors to go through all the different rooms. Mm-hmm. Every single room had more detail than I've ever seen in any animated movie. It's like all that just for to feel the world that they're in.
Right.
Yeah, I never thought about how much work that actually must have been to like draw
hours and
one
hours.
of those rooms. Like that's wild. That actually is nice insight from an animator.
Yeah, even the vase that they painted on the vase to go all the way around. It's absurd.
How long did it take them to produce this movie?
I've guessed about 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
That's even before like pre-production storyboard stuff. Like to do all the paintings would probably take. You saw in the credits, you saw like 1,000 animators in all the different studios. There was like 10 different studio houses, and then you saw background painters. There was like 7. It's like what? Excuse me? like the inkers and stuff to go in and refinish everything. How is there only 7 of you? Props to you.
Yeah. That's wild.
There's 10,000 hours per artist right there. Oh.
I think the other thing that is like very consistent in Studio Ghibli movies, but especially in this one, because I think food is a very big focus at the beginning. The food just looks like it is the tastiest thing you will ever eat in your entire life.
I'd be one of those pigs.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I was trying to figure out what one of the things they were eating was, because there's this one like little, it looks like an onion, but it has like little wings.
The big sake thing?
So I was like, what is that? Because I had no idea. I was like, maybe this is something cultural that I just don't know about. So what it is it's a coelacanth stomach, which is like
like the fish?
Yes, like a super rare, like basically like can't find it fish. And I think the whole point of that was it's like something that you would give to a spirit because it's like, so rare and like amazing that they could find this and have this. And they're just like chomping down on it like it's nothing. But I think all the food like just looks like I want to eat out all of it.
Mm-hmm. I want a t-shirt with just a bowl of Studio Ghibli food on it.
Yeah. This is like an aside, but not about Spirited Away, but Howl's Moving Castle, when he puts the eggs and the bacon in the pan.
It's such a good scene.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I've yet to watch that one.
Oh, Brian.
I own it too.
It's like jumping around. It's sizzling.
When he like starts to get cooked, so you can like tell like time has passed when he puts the next piece down. It's so good.
I don't know how they do that. They must like morph, but it's
all hand drawn.
It's hand drawn. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you would do that.
So impressive.
They just hand draw it, my dude. They probably have a lot of reference, and they just go for it.
It's truly like yummy.
And it's
Yumtown.
It's vibrant. What I love about all of those movies is they're vibrant. Even the older ones, where everything's kind of the exposure's a little bit flat. It's still greens are green, blues are blue. It's got this life to it. Mm-hmm. And even the food, it's like those egg yolks are golden and the whites are white. Oh, yeah. I could look at that all day.
Mm-hmm. Another scene with Yubaba when she goes crazy and her hair comes around.
Oh, and like wrapping around Haku and and then she's like breathing fire. Oh, it's so cool.
I was like, that was expensive. I was like, that would have taken a full year just to make that scene happen.
Oh
my gosh. That was crazy.
Do you do like in your head like budgets?
Yeah, it was
movies.
insane.
You're like, oh, that was a year.
Yeah, but knowing the animators, that was like a month's work for them. You know how fast they work in these studio houses.
That's wild.
They're just too good at their job. The hands, their ability to draw hands, untouchable.
I'm all nubs.
Yeah, I can't. That and when you have a close-up shot of Haku as a dragon, the amount of detail they have on that, I just don't understand.
Yep.
Yeah, considering like I like draw circles and triangles at work, and I'm like, I'm not here to be an artist. I'm here to explain something to you. So, anyways, it is actually astounding, like how, and like I think that's something that I find really like homey and like comforting about a lot of the Studio Ghibli movies is that they still have like that hand-drawn feel. Like even the newer ones, like Boy and the Heron and things that are like coming out currently, still have that same feeling. Because I think we do have like a lot of the like 3D animated stuff now, which is great. But sometimes it's like a little uncanny valley for me, and it like freaks out my
it
brain.
can all look the same, you know.
Yeah, it freaks out my brain a little bit. So then this is like I find this like calming, soothing, nice.
There is 3D elements in these movies, but you don't really notice them because they're 2D textured overlaid.
Yeah,
right.
You know, like some of the building shots where they were zooming around, those were definitely 3D. But
What
they
was
used them
that?
pretty smartly.
What was that one movie from Studio Ghibli that came out a couple years ago that was all 3D? I think they remade a movie.
I do not know what you're talking about.
Yeah, coming from a Studio Ghibli connoisseur, if she doesn't know, then I don't think we were going to know.
I do not know what you're talking about.
Maybe it's not them.
It might be. It like I mean like it's not like I'm like an expert, but I do know like a lot of the movies. But I wonder if it was probably maybe it wasn't a Miyazaki movie, and usually like that's my guy over there.
Oh, Earwig and the Witch.
Oh,
It was directed by Goro Miyazaki.
oh, it was his son.
It's his son. That's why. Because I remember people were very, very upset that one
Was not
was like
hand-drawn.
Yeah, but I'm like, I think it's a remake of like a previous movie. Maybe I'm wrong. I have no idea. Based on, maybe it was a book.
Oh,
Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, people were very mad because they're like, there's no life to it. But I'm like, hold up. People had to make this. They put their heart and soul and attention into it.
just be chill.
It's okay.
Yeah, the design is still a creation of their imagination, even if
Yeah.
it's 3D or not.
Exactly. Do I love 2D animated things? Absolutely.
I still
And I
haven't
will
seen The
always
Boy and the
collect
Heron.
Me either.
It's good.
Is it good? Did
Yeah.
you watch the dub?
Yeah, well, I watched it in theaters, so that was the only thing I could
Nick
find.
wanted to do that too.
And it was great.
How was Robert Pattinson?
It was great. I'm actually not surprised that he was great, honestly.
Yeah,
Mhm.
dude's got range.
And I think I just like love that they still managed to have a little buddy in every single one of them. I don't remember what they were called in Boy and the Heron, but they were like essentially the idea was like they were little like baby spirits that were like floating up into the air when they were like ready to be born, and they were just like really cute little balloon boys, and they were so cute. And it is like very much in the line of like you have like your Calcifer, you have like your little forest spirits and like Princess Mononoke, and you have obviously your Sit Sprites and Spirited Away. And I guess you could also count like the little mouse and little bird as like your little buddies that just like, come along on the journey, hanging out.
They're eye candy. They're like, oh,
You're like, oh,
you're there. Hello.
sprinkles, your little sprinkles on top.
Yeah.
Now, Abby, would you say these movies are like a comfort for you?
Yes.
So
are
what
like
do you think? What do you think drew you to these movies in the first place and kept you, looking for more?
I think a lot of it was, the world building is just so cool. Like I always found like that kind of like spirit world, like world thing of like, this is somebody coming out of somebody's head and like they're just like making this up. Like this is like completely, and like I think the really interesting thing about Spirited Away is I don't think there's any like back source material. Like everything that they did was just like completely from their heads, and I think that was always like very interesting to me. Of like, how did somebody like think of this and like put all these pieces together and make something so cohesive? And that's maybe like carried into adulthood of like being like, wow, like that's a really like pretty crazy to like have that all come together for you in that way. I think the coming of age of it all was very like initially like I like when I was watching this when I was 10, when I was the same age as Chihiro was like at the beginning of the movie. So I think that was like a good connection for me. And I also just like I think the animation style was just like really like, this is exactly what I want to watch, because it's just like so visually stunning that I think that's what initially drew me to it, and then like everything else just like kept me.
Are most of the movies a young cast, like a young main star?
Variable, because I think like Ashitaka in Princess Mononoke, he's like 16, 17, I think. Yeah. And then Sophie is like 19, 20, and she's from Howells.
What about Ponyo and like Mike?
Ponyo is like probably the youngest, I think.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 or something.
Yeah, and then like Arietti is like kind of kids. When Marnie was here, was like kind of kids. And then like when
My Neighbor,
The Wind Also Rises is like they go through their whole life, I think. Mm-hmm. And then Totoro obviously has like two little kids. So it is kind of like all over the place a little bit. But it does kind of seem to be like, I think a lot of it is somebody going through like a period of change or transition in their life, I think is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Now, do you think he did that on purpose to have a younger visual representation of the main character? Because kids have such a wide range of imagination that they will believe anything that's happening in these movies, rather than adults that were like, well, what are you even watching? You know, like you said, your mom was like, what is this movie? Rather, where you went into it like, wow, this is the most amazing world I've ever witnessed, because you have that capacity to be like, I can believe and imagine anything at this point in my life.
Yeah, I wonder if that did have something to do with it. Oh, and to be fair, at that point, I'd already like watched like a lot of Inuyasha, and there I had seen like much scarier demons on that. So like this was like, I was like, no face, no problem.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, for him to want to direct a film and have the main star be that young, or in that time span of age like 7 to 20 or something.
Yeah, I do wonder if that's like part of it. Because I actually don't really know what the target audience in like Japan would be for these movies. Because is this like an everyone movie there? Because I feel like it probably is, because the anime obviously is like so much like more mainstream there. Where like I think people were like, oh, it's a Studio Ghibli movie, like I'm gonna go see that.
Yeah, I think that we're at that point now, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
But I don't know what it was like for them earlier on, because I mean, Spirited Away I think was like 2001.
Yeah, so 2001. You're correct. Look at you go.
So at that point, like a lot of like the big movies for Ghibli had come out already. Like Castle in the Sky was already out. Like Nausicaa was already out. Like all those, like a lot of the big ones are out already. So I wonder if they already kind of had that notoriety of being like, this will be a good movie probably, so you should go see it. But I think for an international audience, I think it's a lot harder for people internationally to see a movie that is a cartoon as being anything but for kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially back then.
Well, it's still now. You can't consider an animated feature for any kind of award because it's not a real movie. We're still having that issue today with all the Oscars, and you know, it's crazy.
Yeah, you can win Best Animated Film, but that's it.
Yeah, but you can't be in the category of like Best Feature of the Year, even though some of them are better than most of the features that have come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one day work to go.
No, they're never going to allow it, Nick.
No,
we're at a time where animation is so huge, and they're still not considering. You could have had a Best Animated Feature even considered.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Because you could have had Boy and the Heron in that category.
For sure.
Any of his movies could have been in that category, but they're stuck with the main, animated feature film, which is easy to win out. Because nowadays Disney just puts everything in and then just hopes for the best, even though it's not. It's like a C/B tier movie where you have a clear winner, obviously going into it.
Yeah. I don't actually know how many Studio Ghibli movies have won Academy Awards. I know Spirited Away did for Best Animated Film. Like I know that's true, but I don't know how well everything else fared. And I don't really know how that works if you have if you have like a subtitled and a dubbed version, and if like the dubbed version comes out way later. Was it like supposed to be considered when it like initially came out and like subtitled, but then no one watched it, so then it wasn't really considered, or even like So anyways, not to get into like the very specific nuanced logistics of the Academy Awards, but
I don't think I've watched any sort of award show in 2 decades.
It's the Tonys for me, and that's it.
Okay, that's fair. I always feel like I see them after. I see the results, And I think, oh, maybe I should check that out. Because I miss a lot of things throughout the year and I want to kind of catch up every so often. But I know I've missed some good things over the years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, almost certainly. I have like a backlog of movies of like, oh, I should watch this at some point. And then I'm like, and then I'll be like, perusing whatever streaming service. And I always end up watching the same things over and over and over again. And that includes these movies.
It's the curse of too much choice.
Too much choice. 100%.
Because I did the same thing the other day. I was looking what to watch. I thought, I don't want to watch any of this.
None.
But if I had 7 or 8 movies on my shelf to pick, I would pick one of those and I'd watch it.
Well, because you purchased those movies because they're some of your favorites that you want to keep watching.
Exactly. And now that I know that Spirited Away was on VHS, I have to find it.
Abby, would you say Spirited Away is your top Ghibli movie?
Ooh, okay. I knew this question was going to come up, and I think it is the one that holds the most meaning for me. I think the one I enjoy watching the most is probably Howl's Moving Castle, especially as an adult. Like, I love Howl's Moving Castle. Like, I love it. Like, a couple years ago, I think Cole Sprouse and his girlfriend dressed as Sophie and Hal for Halloween, and I like almost died when I saw it because it was so good. And like there's something about that movie specifically that like really like gets me right here, and I think that's maybe because like I'm a big softie and I really like romance in movies, and there's like a big romance in that one. Mm-hmm. But like I think the one that's the most meaningful to me is definitely Spirited Away, because I feel like that's the one that like made such a big impact on my childhood. And like that Kiki kind of falls in the same like category of that, of like, these are the movies that got me into this and like made me like love these movies. And then in terms of like watchability now, it's probably Princess Mononoke and Howl's Moving Castle, or my like top I kind of go back to.
Nice. So you say those are your top 3?
Top 4 question mark?
Yeah.
Those are like the 4 that I'm like, those are like the core 4 for me.
Gotcha.
But I do like I like the other ones. Like I definitely haven't watched the other ones like quite as much.
Nice.
Did you ever watch Grave of the Fireflies?
No, I have not watched that one because I don't want to be emotionally destroyed.
Yeah, don't. It is one of my favorite movies. It is awfully sad.
Yeah.
Is that a Ghibli one?
Yeah, it's one of the first ones. It wasn't by Miyazaki.
I think it was Takahata, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It is
horribly sad, Brian. Horribly
it's so sad. Heavy. Like right from the start, you think, oh, I will never be ready to watch this movie.
What's it called?
Grave of the Fireflies.
Grave of the Fireflies. I'll write it down.
Dude, you gotta like, please be ready to watch it. I wasn't, but I just did it.
Any Studio Ghibli movie I haven't seen for the most part, I have at least read the synopsis on Wikipedia, so I know what happens in that movie. And like, again, like I said, I'm not looking to cry on my day-to-day basis,
Yeah.
So I haven't fully had a full foray into that quite yet.
It's nuts. It's a couple of my favorite pieces of media are sad Japanese movies. Or like intense Japanese movies. It's like Grave of the Fireflies. I love the 1954 Godzilla. Oh. Brian, you and I have talked about that at length.
That makes sense.
And Neon Genesis Evangelion is... I'm just like, why do I like these? They're so sad and so intense, but I think it's because they do grief and regret and loss so well. I don't think it just doesn't translate in like Western movies as well for me.
Which is so interesting because it's like animated. Everything is animated, and it's like translating better than if you watch somebody, like a human face crying, going through that.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because of the performance?
Maybe
that whoever they're getting to perform the voice is really dialing it in,
Yeah.
I think that's important, but I think it's also just like, I think it's the animation too, a lot of times. And I also think it's like the atmosphere that's created by like, the way that they color things and like the way that they've kind of fit things together, or what music they have playing in the background. Like I think in it, like they just do such a good job putting all those things together. And I think that's why it reads so well. And I think you have a bit more control. I mean, you have a lot of control over that even when you're like doing a movie with actors and, but I do think like you have like even more control because you can change anything you want while when it's animated.
What I found for more recent movies, live action movies, I should say, is I like that they are taking that bit of reality out of it sometimes and making it very deliberately what they want it to look like.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just, everything's gray all the time. If it's happy or sad, it's all gray because we got to make it look a certain way. They force the colors, they force the perspective, they force us to view it in a certain way, and it's intentional. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why I like those sad animated movies, because they're not always sad. There's light parts, and you see that visually as well.
Well, do you think that's why animated movies have stuck around so long?
Yes, 100%.
Also, they're just so pretty. Like there are so many things that they're making like live action versions of, like especially like in like popular books and things like that. And I'm like, no, you 100% should animate this because like it's not gonna work well.
We've talked about this, Nick. Zelda is one of them.
I know. Well, it's like, just animate my Zelda, please.
Well, there's like a book series that Dana Ager and I like. That they're like it's about fairies. I'm gonna leave it there.
Is it the Court of Thorns and whatever? Yeah, okay. I've heard about it recently, and I'm like, there's fairies in it. I thought it was like YA Game of Thrones, but it's barely.
No, not YA. No. Not YA.
Okay.
Anyways, but they're thinking about making. I think they're like ordering like a live action series for it, and I think it's a terrible idea because I don't know how they're gonna make all the things in it like make sense. Because there's like so many like creatures and like, like how do you make the magic look good? Like it's so hard to do that. And I think it would just look so beautiful animated. Like I think they could do such a good job. Like if they did like in like a Castlevania style, like I think it would be amazing. I think it would be perfect, but they're never going to do it. Cause as soon as you animate something, people aren't going to watch it. Cause they're going to be like, oh, it's for kids. Or they'll be like, is this like, yeah. Anyways, so I don't know.
Well, 90% of the audience who's reading that book does not want to watch an animated feature.
I know, but they're wrong. Yeah,
they're wrong.
They want to have that human physical actor connection of what's going on in those steamy books.
Well, yeah, there's it's a little spicy. So yeah. But anyway,
I think they could pull it off.
They better.
What's the budget?
It's going to be high. Like I think I don't know really many people who haven't read those books at this point, or at least have heard of them. Like they're like, disseminated into now.
It's the first thing I see when I walk into the bookstore, every single time.
Because they've nailed live action magic and stuff like that in the past. Not so much now, but like you look at Lion Witch and the Wardrobe, the early Harry Potter stuff.
Yeah,
there's a lot of variable options they could go with. Just depending on what their style is. I
just worry that they're going to make it very Uncanny Valley, and there's a lot of characters with wings in it, and like that's going to be I don't know. I hate to say it. I don't have a lot of faith. I hope they prove me wrong.
Right.
But
yeah.
But I have been let down a few too many times in order to have like full like confidence that this will go well.
Well, that was always my biggest thing with the live action remakes of the Disney classics.
I'm sorry. How to Train Your Dragon. What are we doing? Why is this a conversion?
Don't poke the bear, Brian.
I saw the trailer today because I saw Wicked today, and I saw the trailer for that. My mom was like, "Oh, this will be good." I'm like, "It's not necessary."
I agree, it's not necessary, but let me tell you, I love How to Train Your Dragon. I'm still going to see it.
And you know what? I will say, I also love this movie, so I will probably also see it.
Because I love dragons and I love live action dragons, and I think
they did
the director of the director of the trilogy is also directing this.
Okay,
so he clearly has a vision. We don't need it, but I do want to see. I just want to hear the soundtrack again for the first time,
Well, and I will say I was extremely impressed with how good Toothless looked in that trailer.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, all right, I'll give it a shot. Yep. But anyways, not to like completely derail, but I was like, doing this? Why are we doing this?
Because Brian, you sent me the trailer. I thought it looks great. I can't complain about it, but it's in my brain. I was just yelling like redundant. Like why is this here? But I'm like, I get it because Brian's like over the moon.
I'm gonna put it on the shelf.
Yeah, I'm like, I get it. I hope it's faithful. I hope people are happy with it because that's all I would want for this. Yeah. I don't want it to be something crazy different. It doesn't need to be.
It can be better than the Disney ones. I can tell you that much.
I guarantee. Oh, absolutely. You see it immediately from the trailer.
DreamWorks like, is not going to tarnish something they've
made.
One of
its most beloved pieces of media? Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. I know.
This is one of the only DreamWorks I think you could do live action and make it make sense.
I would love to see live action Toy Story. I want to see
live action Toy Story.
Toy Story.
I don't think Pixar would do that.
I don't think they would either. No. I want it to happen now. Now that I've brought it up, I want it to happen.
Who's Sid?
I don't know.
Who's playing Sid?
Then Will Poulter. He's playing
Will
Sid.
Poulter. I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, totally. Except that he has
but he's like 37 now. So.
Yeah, he's like kind of a hottie.
They'll find another kid.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, How to Train Your Dragon, I think, is going to be killer. Now it's going to be a problem. They start doing 2, 3. You know, like they just need to do one.
Yes,
just
that would be great.
There.
We'll see. Is what I'll say.
I know. Mm-hmm.
Now here's the thing, though. This way of doing these movies is the only way to get. Because let's be real, How to Train Your Dragon is one of the best movies of all time. This is the only way to get it into a category for people to notice.
Here's the thing, though. I think because it is a remake of an animated movie.
Yeah, it's not going to matter.
It's not going to matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of a bummer.
Stoic though, we got
Gerard
Butler's back. That's cool.
Yeah,
that is.
Cool. He looks pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
I looked at him a few times. I'm like, I don't know if that's him, but it sounds like him.
Oh, it's him.
It is.
There's the behind the scenes of him putting the suit on. It's pretty cool.
Oh, cool.
Listen, I'm in.
You are head first.
Yeah.
Actually, bringing it back to Spirited Away, how would we feel about a live action Spirited Away? I think bad.
Don't.
I think
it wouldn't work at all.
No, I think there's a stage play or musical
that's different
of Spirited Away, and that is different. I actually think the practical effects from a theater perspective for Spirited Away could be unbelievable. Actually, like beautiful.
Yes. The bathhouse from exterior, interior, the train scene, the Yubaba's place, like all of that. That would be beautiful. It would be magnificent on a stage. And then you suspend your disbelief even more in those settings. Mm-hmm. Like Haku's dragon form would be unreal to see.
I think they would do an amazing job. Yeah. And I would and if I believe that exists and I would like to see it.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Thinking about it, I think they could pull it off in live action.
Yeah, maybe now, but okay, pull it off.
Certain elements, maybe not, but like I think the look of all the spirits and Haku as a dragon and like the aesthetic of like the train and the temples, everything they can pull off, like the live action Avatar show on Netflix, like the way Appa looks, I think you could really do
a good job.
Haku well. There's a lot of elements they could do well, but I think the actors, the people, as to getting the vibe right. But I think they could do it, but I don't think they'll ever touch it.
I don't think they should. I don't think they'll ever touch a Ghibli property for live action.
I mean, I still think this is the only movie that they have that's sitting at 100% ratings for the last 30 years, is it not?
Oh my God.
That's wild. Yeah. Holy smoke.
Round of applause.
Yeah.
Do you have any pet peeves or things that you find or not pet peeves, that's not the right word. Are there anything in the movie that makes you just go, wow, this person is so dumb? This is a leading question. I want everyone to know this is a leading question.
Like character-wise, other than like the parents are always dumb.
The parents are the stupidest people. I can't even believe it. So we start off with we're in the car, we're moving. It's an adventure, rolling down the window, blah, blah, blah. And the dad's trying to figure out where they're going. And so they go down into this forest and he decides to start speeding like crazy in a forest.
Yeah. It's so dangerous.
And then he starts seeing a wall and has to like slam the brakes. His child is getting tossed around. Also, why is she not wearing a seatbelt, by the way? Like,
hey, the 90s were different, I guess.
And then once they get in there, they're like, oh yeah, we're moving. The movers are coming to our house. Why don't we stop for a couple hours and hang out at this random abandoned building? And then I just always remember like when the dad's like, you know, I got credit cards and I got cash when they're like sitting down and eating. And I'm like,
you don't find any of this suspicious or strange?
Like, come on, my guy.
They also, had to do that to set up the disrespect of the humans to a world that they don't really care about, right? Like, they're just the greed of the humans and the parents, and how they never really notice. You know, every single animated film like this, where the child has sees something that the parents could care less about.
Yeah,
you know, they always have the answers.
Yeah.
Well, and I think greed is like also like a very big theme in this movie. Mm-hmm. Like you think about like watching everybody with no face.
Yeah.
Well, like you like and him just like eating people.
Yeah,
that's
like,
terrifying.
Just, like,
I'm
like
sorry.
True like greed of like
it's greed, it's gluttony,
and then the way that he like lures them into him is like gold.
Yeah.
Like it's so funny too because No Face is like this, you know, figure who has like truly no characteristics until he like walks into the bathhouse. Though I will say, can we just talk about No Face's leg for 5 seconds?
Oh, it's
his like skinny little leg that comes out.
Yes.
I don't like his arms either.
No,
I don't like that.
No, a friend of mine is considering getting a few of us are considering getting Studio Ghibli tattoos, and she wants to get No Face with one leg out and like a fishnet on it.
I had a feeling because it's like a slender leg. Yeah, it's got calf muscle definition
like, coming out of the leg. Anyways, but then as soon as No Face is like in the bathhouse and is like basically the things he sees are all these people clamoring for gold with the river spirit, and like that becomes like the most important thing. And then the first dude he eats is like one of the guys who's like, you know, the most like maybe like gold hungry because he's like going and scratching the floorboards, and then like it just goes from there of like you seeing like, oh yeah, they're like giving me so much food, like they're giving me all this stuff. And then at the end of the day, like when she says no finally, and he's like, wait a second, maybe this is weird. And then I think that like kind of shatters his whole like ability to like understand what's going on. Mm-hmm. And that's when he starts eating people and like they like truly start like, you know, he just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
I don't like any part of that. And when he's chasing her, I don't like that either.
Love it. Yeah. It's amazing.
What I also wanted to bring up,
leaving pieces of himself behind, and then when he like jumps into like the sea, and he is like, and then he like the water goes by, and he gets like washed away when the train goes by.
Another thing I wanted to bring up would have to do with my complaint about the dub earlier, is with that first bathtub scene, and she's conquering her first tests. When she finally pulls all the garbage out of the spirit, you see it looks like a dragon, right? It has that that tail to it and the whole body. Mm-hmm. With them ruining that Haku was the dragon, it's like, well, this could have also been what she saw.
Yeah,
you know, from far away, they look identical. Mm-hmm. So I think they should have kept that a secret in the dub because they didn't ruin that in the sub.
I agree,
but that's just technically you could watch it as a sub and not have it ruined for you whatsoever. So that's just a little nitpick to go back to.
Like thinking about watching this in the future, this is one of the movies. Well, I don't know how old, you know, my kids will be when I show them one day when I have kids. Mm-hmm. Like, but
I think they need to be past 10.
I think they have to be past 10. I think I can't show unless I like start them real young. But like I like already can like see the first time I like show my kids like Kiki's Delivery Service. And then like work like kind of like working them through like slowly until we reach this point.
You need to play them the soundtrack when they're in the
room.
Oh my
yes.
Or like it's the nursery music. Oh
yes, that's so good.
All right. Well, thanks, Brian. Thanks for.
You're welcome. I'm glad I can hand that info to you.
Yep.
But I'm definitely glad we put this on the list, Nick, because I'm going to be honest. It's been on my shelf for years, and if we didn't have it on the list, I don't think I would have watched it.
Oh,
which is crazy to me because now I think I'm like, the next time I watch it, I'm watching it subbed.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see both sides because now that I know there was some stuff that they added in the dub, I want to, get the experience both ways.
Well, and now I think you have to watch more Studio Ghibli too.
Yeah, I have the rest of them.
What ones
I
have
have
you
them
seen,
all.
Brian? Like, what ones have you actually watched?
I have this one, Princess Mononoke. I think that's about it.
My hands are
Did
on
you
my,
watch
you can't
Howl's
see, but
Moving
my
Castle?
hands are
No.
on my hips right now
Yeah.
in a very mad way.
I have Howl's.
There you go.
I have this one.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
Mononoke, Spirited Away. I have The Boy and the Heron.
Nice.
Nice.
Good.
That's on the list, so we're gonna watch that soon. Let's see. This isn't a Ghibli, but Weathering with You.
I don't know if I know that one.
You told me to watch that one.
Yeah, great.
And then that other one about the name.
Oh, I have The Wind Rises.
Your Name? Your Name?
Your Name?
Your Name?
Oh,
Yeah.
The Wind Rises. Yeah.
Wind
nice.
Rises. And Your Name was spectacular.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
still
told
need
me
to
that
see
wasn't
that.
a
I don't know
Ghibli
how I
either.
haven't seen it yet. Actually, I'm like very disappointed with myself.
That's also on our list, but this movie was unreal.
Nice.
But yeah,
Cool.
I have most of the hitters, but they're just on the shelf because they're iconic classic animation films that I'll eventually get to.
Yeah.
Eventually get to.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one, because of my trauma, I don't think I would have watched it without a purpose. But now it's like, why didn't I think I needed to be this age to appreciate it, because
Yeah.
I wasn't like,
You
I didn't
watched
understand what animation this was growing up, I was just like, why is this so scary and creepy?
Mhm.
Yeah. You watched it when you were supposed to,
Yeah,
I think.
there you go.
Yeah, I'm like I might be an outlier here.
Yeah.
I'm an outlier of like being like I love this when I'm like way too young probably to A, get it, or B, like not. I should have been scared by this movie, and instead it lulled me to sleep every day for a year.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
But Abby, I want to thank you for jumping on today. I know it's hard to get you with a free night, so I appreciate you hopping on to tell us your experience with the movie Spirited Away.
No, thanks for having me. I loved chatting about it. Anytime.
So I want to thank everybody for listening. This has been 2 Hours on a Sunday. I'm Brian.
And I'm Nick.
And we'll catch you guys later.